Hey, everybody. Welcome to the CFB Dynasty BTR Burning the Red Shirt podcast joint week 2 preview. I'm your host, Zach Tao, and with me is the founder of CFB Dynasty, Brian McElfresh. Man, how you doing?
What's up, man? I'm doing great. How are you today?
Well, I'm good. I'm glad we could kind of get this in. Normally, we would do this on a Saturday morning. That's kind of our plan, but due to other commitments, we got to do it tonight. So I'd rather do it tonight than not do it at all. But we want to kind of go over some kind of start-sit decisions that people have left in the Discord or on Twitter. Do kind of talk some DFS picks that kind of stick out to you, and whatever other topics that people, I guess, send in between now and the end of the show here. So, Brian, do you want to start?
Sure, yeah. So I've got a question for you.
Yes.
I've got a big scenario here where Kayshon Boutte, whose name was pronounced differently in the broadcast this year compared to last year. That freaked me out.
It's so funny that they called him Booty, because I'm going to tell you why. Chris K, who was on the Burning Red Shirt pod, he's always called him Booty, and I always thought like he was just being funny.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking like, well, maybe they call him, maybe that's his name. But I'm like, well, or maybe they listened to Burning the Red Shirt and they heard us talking and they thought, man, maybe that's how his name's pronounced.
Chris has a lot of pull. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. Did you know he used to work at the College Football Hall of Fame?
Yes, I did know that.
So that's pretty cool. But anyway, that's the whole other discussion.
Amazing if no one's been there. Amazing.
That's a whole other discussion. I've never been there, but
anyway. So Boutte, I'm gonna stick with how it was pronounced when I drafted him. He didn't have a catch till the fourth quarter against FSU. Was like visibly upset on the sideline, and my vision is they're playing against a nobody this week. They're gonna either force him the ball to make him happy as they're going into SEC play, or he'll be like silently suspended. So it's him or Xavier Worthy for Texas going up against Alabama, who, you know, he only had 2 catches in the last game too.
Right.
And Alabama's obviously a great defense, huge spread, all the things, but you figure he's going to be a huge feature in the offense.
If they're going to have any success at all, their stars are going to have to play well. And we talked about it the other night on our podcast, that what are the scenarios that Texas not even just wins the game, like is in the game.
Yeah.
I think Ewers has to play out of his mind. He has to have a Johnny Football-esque type performance. I mean, seriously. And then Bijan's going to have to do his thing. And that means that most likely that Worthy's going to have pretty good numbers too.
Yeah.
And even then, I'm not even sure they have enough to beat Alabama.
Yep. Agreed.
So if you're asking me between Boutte and Worthy, I'm probably leaning Boutte, even though I know there's uncertainty. I think they know they need to get him the ball. They know it. We know it. Like, is he suspended? Who knows? Well,
at least Fantrax has the new setting where you can say if he's not going to play.
The auto subs thing, which is pretty cool. I haven't really seen it in action yet. We use it, but I don't think it's applied yet. So whole other discussion. But if he is suspended, what is he suspended for? Deleting stuff off his Instagram? Like,
no, because a few other receivers on the team apparently did.
Right. So like it would had to have been like in the team meeting, he stormed out, left the team meeting, or was late to practice, something like that. Like they know he's frustrated, and it's not just him. And I think them losing the game didn't help. Like they know they need to get their offense moving. They know they need to get those receivers the ball. Worthy, I just don't know the opportunity he's going to have. If Ewers can't handle it. If he can't handle Alabama and Will Anderson coming at him, I mean, Worthy will probably still get some decent numbers because he's going to have targets, and targets eventually will lead to receptions. But man, like, do you expect him to have 100 yards in this game?
Expect?
No,
but it wouldn't surprise me.
If he does, I'll say this: if he does, there's probably a 50-yarder in there somewhere.
Right.
that he catches them, they hit him on a
And
deep
that's
ball.
what Sark is so good at, setting those plays up.
I just think you are praying almost for the home run ball.
Yeah.
For him. And
I don't know. I think he's going to get – so they know they can't handle Will Anderson. I think he's going to get a bunch of
screens,
little wide receiver bubble screens, all that kind of stuff.
Can they outman Alabama on the perimeter? Like in the years past, people have been able to. But Texas didn't look all that impressive last week. Like let's not act like they were just blowing them away. Was it Rice? No, it wasn't Rice. That was USC who played right. Who did Texas play last week? I guess it really doesn't matter. It wasn't a big team. Anyway, I just don't know. I think Boute's gotta he's gonna have better than one catch, right? Like he's clearly the number one receiver. They say he's the best receiver in the country. Monroe. Yep. Okay. I was thinking it was a Southern school, but Boute, some have said he's the best receiver in college football. Whether you agree with that or not, doesn't really matter. He's up there. Yep. If he's healthy and he's performing, like he's up there with the best. So I just think that they kind of found something at the end of that game. LSU did as far as their offense goes. And I think Boute, they're going to make an effort to get him the ball.
Yeah, that's who I have penciled in right now. But yeah, it was tough. We got another worthy question Boute question coming up. But
yeah.
All right. Benjamin's Mac from the CFB Dynasty Discord. He was like, "Hey guys, I have two for you. One quarterback. No. He's got to start two. He's got Hartman, Shapen, Dart, and Van Dyke. Right off the bat, I kind of rule out Dart. I definitely start Hartman.
I think it's Hartman and Van Dyke. I don't even think twice. It was Hartman, Van Dyke, Shapen, and Dart.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, BYU, I'll say this, BYU is a good team. And that's who Shapen and Baylor are playing.
Yeah. We don't have them in our top
40
for quarterbacks.
But BYU may not be that great on offense because they're both two starting receivers are out.
Yeah.
Romney and Puka are both out.
They're both out. I did bet that game. I've got Baylor +3.
That's probably not a bad bet. And it's at BYU though, right?
It is at BYU.
It's at BYU.
I like Shapen a lot, but I agree with you.
I think Van Dyke has a Southern Miss. I think is who they're playing, and who's the other? Oh, and then Wake is playing. Hartman's playing Vandy. Now Vandy's been good, but I don't think they're all that great defensively.
Right.
Now I think one of the other questions in the Discord, and I don't want to steal your thunder, but I think one of them is Hartman or Wright from Vandy. And I have that exact same scenario in that Power 5 league that we joined together.
Mm-hmm.
I had Wright and I had Hartman. I drafted him and I put him on IR. I had him on IR because that league uses IR spots. So at first I was thinking, crap, I wasted a spot, whatever. But then I put him on IR, picked up Mike Wright for week 1, started him in week 1. It worked out great.
Yeah.
Right. Well, now Hartman's back and I have Hartman and Wright. I only have to start one. Like part of me wanted to leave Wright in because of how well he's played, but I just think Wake's going to beat Vandy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Hartman, we talked about it on our other pod, like, is Hartman ready to go? I think he's ready to go. I don't think they say he's cleared if he's starting if he can't play. Like they could have said, look, he's cleared, but we're going to give him another couple weeks.
Yeah.
But no, they said he's ready to go. He's ready to go now. So I have to believe he's ready to go. It's not like he missed 6 months.
Exactly.
He missed
exactly what
I
was going to say.
A month maybe. Like, I think you play Hartman. You drafted Hartman, and this is a philosophy Chris used the other night with Bijan. Like, you don't draft a guy in the top 5 or in the top first round and then bench him.
Yeah.
Right. Like you draft a guy like that to start. And I think you take Hartman. But in that one you asked me, Hartman and Van Dyke, I think are the two I'd pick.
Totally agree. All right. So he has another one. He's like 2 running backs here. Regular PPR, pick one of the 3. So Jaden Ott, Byron Cardwell, and Mayan Williams.
Okay, so Cardwell, Ott, and I'm trying to find it on the Ott, Cardwell, Mayan Williams. Okay, so what's funny about that is in the Dynasty League that we're both in, the one I host, the one I commissioner, I have Ott and Mayan Williams.
Mm-hmm.
And I was pleasantly surprised to see Mayan Williams have the game he had last week for Ohio State. Like everybody's like talking about Henderson. He's the clear running back one, which he probably is. But that offense can support 2 running backs.
Yep.
And if the receivers, if Smith and Jigba is down, I know Igbuka comes in and he's expected to do great things. Harrison's supposed to be good, all that. But why not lean on those running backs that you've got?
Yep.
Like, there's no reason for them to air it out when they have 2 really good running backs. But to answer the question, Ott's playing UNLV this week, and I'm starting him in my dynasty.
That's their favored. Cal's favored by 13.
Right.
They're projected to get around
so
32
Ott, points. They didn't play a tough opponent last week, but UNLV is not going to be a tough opponent either.
Yeah.
And Ott showed well, mainly like as the game went on, he got more and more touches.
Mm-hmm.
I like Ott. And the other ones, Cardwell, it's so hard because Cardwell, the whole Oregon offense was just anemic,
let's
right?
see a game. Let's see one where they're going to be good. I like Cardwell a lot, but I want to see it.
Right, because it wasn't just Cardwell. They had, like, was it Sean Dollars was getting touches? Like, how much of that, the share is going to go to Cardwell? And I'm not sure he's going to get enough of a share. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is the week that you'll see it because it's not Georgia that they're playing.
Yeah.
I think you're safe taking Ott and Mayan Williams. Because I think Mayan Williams is going to get run.
You got to pick one.
Oh, I got to pick one.
Yeah, and we have them within 7 spots of each other. It's a basic toss-up.
I probably take Mayan Williams. I do take Mayan Williams because I think they're playing who they playing? Arkansas State?
Arkansas State. No spread.
They're going to steamroll them.
Yeah. And
I just feel like if they steamroll them, Mayan Williams is going to get at least 15 touches and probably have 100 yards. Ott's going to – they use him in the passing game, though. Like, that's tough. With PPR, you know what? Are you taking Mayan Williams?
Yeah,
I'm taking Ott. Williams. I'm taking Ott.
I
think I'm changing it to Ott because I liked what I saw from him in the receiving department. So I think if that's a PPR is regular PPR, does that mean full point? What does that mean? What does regular PPR
I
mean?
assume so. Regular, I guess, is a little bit ambiguous.
Yeah.
Oh, and I did miss the first one. Asterius, Boutte, or Ricky White.
So, oh man, like Ricky White had a phenomenal game for UNLV. They're playing Cal, as we've kind of already discussed, but honestly, like I think I take Ricky White because he's proven that they're going to throw him the ball. Boutte, like we talked about earlier, like they're going to have to throw him the ball. Otherwise, he's going to just hang it up and sit out the rest of the year. I mean, is that not a threat? Like,
I mean, it has to be like that's what Jamar Chase did, basically.
Like, if Boutte comes out there and they don't give him the ball, like, what's his incentive to keep playing this year? Like, he's only going to hurt his draft stock to keep playing and putting up goose eggs, right? Like, he's better off just hanging it up, preparing for the draft, and being done. So I still probably, in this scenario, probably take Ricky White because of the odd chance that Boutte doesn't play. Or they have another performance like they did in week 1. But
what do you do with any of your leagues if there's someone like that might not play? So Fantrax has their thing, but do you like we have a Slack and our Discord here where we'll post backups for every position. Do you guys do that?
So what we did in our dynasty last year was, in Fantrax, you have those minors spots you can have. You can put whatever there. So we use those as the like your swap in your auto, like your subs, because they didn't have the auto sub feature. So
that's a great idea.
So if they're clearly notated down there in a green, they're like in a green tab, right? So you know who they are. Then you can swap out. It's usually you get 3 in our league. We did 3. and usually it's a quarterback, running back, or a receiver.
Yeah.
And then, if you need them, you have them. See, now with Fantrax, with the auto sub thing, you rank your subs.
Yep.
And like mine, I think I set it up to only 3 can be used at most. I'm curious as to how and when it triggers them. Like, if a guy has a 0 but played, does it trigger it? Or does he have to have a DNP?
Right.
And we've already seen, I don't know if you saw this or not. Like, they had a big Vegas kind of scandal where people were betting like an under on a prop, and they said the guy didn't play, so it didn't cash.
Oh.
But he did play. And he just but he didn't have any stats, so it looked like he didn't play, and all those people disputed it, and they had to pay those people. I think that's how it turned out. But that's what I'm saying. Like, where does Fantrax intervene? Because you shouldn't get an auto sub if the guy played and just didn't do anything.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
But if the guy was a late scratch, like an hour before kick or 30 minutes before kick, and he's not in pads, like, you don't have time to swap out. Like, that's where that should apply. I just don't know where it comes into play.
Yeah, I didn't even get to see it play out last week because after the early games, I was heading up to Gainesville. But here's another one.
Okay, so Brett, he's a loyal listener to at least the Burning the Red Shirt pod. So thanks for listening to this. He says, I mean, in general, I like Ott, but he seems to be a decent play this week. Really like what I saw on tape last week, and I agree. As a freshman, I drafted him in Dynasty thinking like I needed another young running back. Didn't really expect him to be much of anything immediately, but it looks like he's the real deal, and going to be their running back 1.
Yep.
More than likely.
Yep.
So, okay, you can go next.
All right, so let's go with this one for you. You answered this already in the Discord. This is from Lando. He's got Stefan. Oh no, let's see, Cobbs or Flemings. 1 point PPR.
Okay, so I'm gonna lean Cobbs because he's their wide receiver 1. Like, he's the clear wide receiver 1. If you watch the Boise game, I know it was a complete train wreck. Hank Bachmeier looked awful. He got benched, but they're playing New Mexico this week. Hank's getting the start again. And if you watch those interceptions he threw, I know for sure one of them was a deep ball to Cobbs. It was a complete terrible throw, complete underthrow. Underthrow, got picked. It was a great play with the defense, but I think it was an underthrow. The second pick he threw, it may have been to Cobbs again, was an overthrow, like a severe overthrow, like over the middle, and the safety was just back there and caught it. Yeah, I got to go Cobbs because I think he has the ceiling to be really good if that offense can figure it out. Now, I'm not so hopeful that they will, because I think the offense isn't all that great. But against New Mexico this week, if they can't do it against New Mexico, I don't know who they're going to do it against. So,
all right.
And Flemings was Champ Flemings, right?
I don't think he specified.
Oh, no. Because I said, no. He asked keep Cobbs or add Flemings. I'm wondering if he meant Champ Flemings or if he meant Fleming from Ohio State.
Yeah.
Because I had to ask which Cobbs, because it was Stephon or Brian.
Flemings, you would think. But yeah.
Anyway, I'm still sticking with Cobbs, I think.
Yeah. Yep. I'd agree with that.
Yep.
All right. So next one up here. Go for 2 from the Discord.
Go for 2.
Need some help.
My man.
Who do I sit between Tay McWilliams, Jaquavius Marks, or Jalen Berger?
First glance, I say Tay McWilliams.
Agreed.
Because they're playing a good opponent. I don't know who's Michigan State playing.
They're playing a good opponent. And I read a few different Baylor writers recapping that game, and they're not so sure he's the best running back there yet. They had a freshman, Richard
Right.
Rhys, lead them, although he got later carries than Tay. It's one of those things where it's hard to judge, but
Marks, I think, is a safe play.
agreed.
Like I'm assuming he's got to start 2 of those guys because he's asking who to sit.
Yep.
And
Berger had a really good game. He had, clearly, more carries. I'm pretty sure we have Berger in our.
They're playing Akron. No, give me Berger and Marks.
Yep. Yeah. There is a spread on that game. Michigan State by 35. So Berger should have a big game, especially if he ends up getting as many touches as he got in the last game. Berger and Marks pretty easy there for me too.
Who's Mississippi State play? Oh shoot! Hold on.
Let's see.
I'm about to pull it up. My computer work here. So they're playing against Arizona. That's right. They're playing the late game against Arizona. Now Arizona looked good. I said it on another pod. I thought Arizona looked really good, and I am 100%. Well, maybe not 100%. I'm wrong on Cowing because I traded him to you in your first year joining my dynasty. You filled in, and I traded him to you because I was like, okay, he's good. He plays for UTEP.
Yeah.
How long can that last, right? Like, how is he really going to be this way every year? Well, he has been, and he's improved every year. So,
yeah,
like, it's great to see. Like, I'm glad that Arizona's like they look pretty good. Like, they look sharp against who they just play. Holy crap! They just whoever they played against, they looked good, and I watched it and I thought, man, like San Diego State. That's right. So San Diego State's no slouch of a defense. Brady Hoke's got that team. Like, that's a good team.
Yep.
Do I think they're a top 25 team? Maybe not, but they're a top 35 team, I think.
Yep.
Like they're going to be one of those teams that's knocking on the door to be ranked anyway. So they didn't just do that against a bad team. And Arizona, it could be one of the more fun to watch teams in the Pac-12 this year. And I think Oregon State's another one, but okay, that's not what we're talking about. But Arizona, I say that they did really well. Their defense wasn't like San Diego State's not known for their offense. So Mississippi State's, I think that's a good one too. I think you take Marks and Berger to answer the question.
Easy. Yeah, same for me. I actually
that was a
did
long-winded
bet,
answer, but
I bet the over 2.5 wins for Arizona this year.
Oh yeah,
feeling pretty good about that.
They might get to 6. I mean, really.
Yeah.
I mean, like I'm looking at their schedule right now, and like they got Mississippi State this week, North Dakota State next week.
Only a 10.5 point spread this week. That's surprising.
Right. Now,
just in a week.
Next week might be their toughest game yet. They get North Dakota State. Now, I don't know how good they are. They normally have been a perennial FCS powerhouse, but then they get Cal, Colorado, Oregon, Washington, USC, Utah, UCLA, Washington State. Like, if they're going to win their games, they need to do it now because Oregon, heck, even Washington, USC, Utah, that 4-game stretch.
Yep.
Looks a little rough, but I think they're going to be fun to watch. And yeah, but Mississippi State's going to score on them. And I think Berger, Marks.
Here we go. I am not Hawaiian. Ask which 2 to start.
What are you, though? If you're not Hawaiian, what are you? Go on.
Tank Bigsby, Rhys White, Taj Brooks, or Chris Tyree.
Which
Pick
2 to start? Okay.
Yep. Easy for me.
We talked about it on the Notre Dame game. We talked about it on our pod. Like, and more Chris and Andrew kind of talked about it. Like, Tyree is somebody that we've all expected to be something that hasn't quite been anything.
Yeah.
So, the other guy, was it Audric Esteem or something like that? Like, is he? How much does he eat into carries there to where Tyree's not really a factor? I stay away from Tyree. Rhys White, I'm worried. I know he had a great game, and he was one of our players of the week last week, as rightfully so. But Braden Bennett is out.
Yep.
How much does Braden Bennett, if he's back this week, we have to check on that.
Checking.
Yeah, if he's back, like maybe this week he doesn't get the full, split time, but moving forward, I'm curious to see how that pans out. If it's
And remember, Grayson McCall is coming off a shoulder injury. They're not going to run him as much as they did last year.
So
Not yet.
if it's a thunder and lightning scenario with White and Bennett, or is it going to be like, hey, Rhys White, we're going to play you 80% of the snaps, so we ease Bennett back in?
Yeah.
Like, because when they're both healthy, they're both good players, but their potentials are capped because of the other one. Bigsby, I think, is the clear running back for Auburn. I think for sure Bigsby's one of these picks.
Bigsby's RB14 for
and they're
us.
playing
Rhys White is RB10 for us this week.
And that's, I think, they're playing Gardner-Webb.
Yep.
But I think if you're asking me if I had to take two today, I do take Bigsby and White.
Yeah. Taj Brooks is RB19. Like, they're not far apart. I think those three are good starts. Chris Tyree, you got to wait on him.
I think, Bigsby, White, Brooks, if you're feeling frisky.
Yep.
Tyree, I think, is a no. And then what will inevitably happen is Tyree has a 200-yard game, and you're going to tell us we're idiots. But, real quick, Brett has another comment.
Sending Brett a shirt.
Are you?
Yeah.
Nice.
That's what I'm gonna do.
Brett, you've earned a shirt from CFB Dynasty. Says, okay, so he says what you guys are discussing, the ambiguity of the situation is why we don't use the auto sub feature in our league. See, and I feel like there's some people that say that, like that you just think the same way, because you don't really know. You don't know how it's going to be implemented, and you don't want it to be just, oh, he got a 0, so it's auto sub. Like, you want it to be legitimate. Now, as a commissioner, you can override that, but I shouldn't have to override anything. It should automatically do it. I hate having to like manually do anything.
Same. Agreed. If it
so
worked,
by the way, did you notice when you commented there, you commented for both of us?
I see that.
So you can change it on the bottom left. You can pick which one you want to comment from. Right there next to the comment. Right. I just realized that. But so there you go.
Yep.
No, Brett, that's all Brian. He got you the shirt, not me. So you're welcome anyway. But so DM Brian for that.
Yep. DM me in the Discord there. So that's Moonlight awesome. Waffles, Corey Kiner or Xavier Valade?
I saw this earlier because when we were deciding to do this pod, I was like, I'm going to kind of prep and see what kind of questions I'm going to be asked. And Kiner, did he not get injured against Oklahoma? I mean, not Oklahoma, Arkansas. I thought he got injured, or he got hurt, and the guy pushed him down while he was like limping off the field. Did you see that?
I did not see that.
No, he's like hobbling off the field, and the Arkansas lineman like just completely like nudges him out of the way, and he falls down.
Yikes!
Right, but Valade was impressive. More impressive than I thought he was going to be, I think. And like I said, he left Wyoming, goes to Arizona State. Arizona State's kind of in flux, but I thought he was pretty good. I mean, they played Northern Arizona. I get it, but I think that offense is going to be better than people expect. The Arizona State game might be really freaking good. Look, I get it's Northern Arizona. The Oklahoma State's not much better on defense. Did you see them last week? Like, Central Michigan was in that game.
Yep.
And I don't think Central Michigan's all that great. They might be decent in the MAC, I guess, but I don't think they're a top 25 team.
Yep.
So, I would.
Because Cincinnati was super impressive, I'm going to give Kiner the edge. But...
Okay, so where do you have Valade ranked?
He's like on the next list, so he's not in the top 50, but he would be like
so
next up.
I'm gonna pull up something I want to see before I make a statement, because I prepared, but I didn't really prepare, if that makes sense. So it's a pretty even distribution for Valade's stats last week. Like, it was, first half he's 9 for 56 and a touchdown, second half was 6 for 60 and a touchdown. So pretty even. That means it was a pretty steady dose all game against an inferior opponent. But I like that they factored him in. Like they didn't have to, and he still got pretty good stats throughout the game. So, look, I don't think you can go wrong with either of these guys.
Yep.
At that tier. I think you're looking like who do you just what matchup do you like better? Maybe you like Cincinnati's matchup. Who are they playing? I don't even know who they're playing.
Cincinnati, KSU.
Okay, so Kent State.
Let's pull up to be.
Or is that like Kennesaw State? Who are we looking at here? Kent State, Kansas State.
It is not listed in Bovada here.
It's got to be like Kennesaw State then. It's got to be. It's got to be something like that. So anyway, maybe then I take
Kennesaw State.
Are they playing Kennesaw State?
They are.
Okay, maybe you take Kiner, but he got banged up, so I don't know.
Yeah. I don't see anything about an injury right now.
Well, people like I do. Do you know people like I do? Because I can get those answers for us.
Yeah.
Not really. I can't. I don't know anybody, so don't be emailing me asking.
That sounded great. You should have just rolled with it.
Yeah. No, because then I thought about it. Because then people will be like DMing me, like, "What do you know?" Like, no, I don't know anything.
Could have got like 25 more people in the Discord.
I do think that he got banged up, but I don't think it was. I don't think it was significant to like sit him
right
for a week. So, yeah, Kiner's probably a pick.
Last one here, right. PNW Husker, Sam Hartman.
Ooh, poor guy.
Or Haynes King or Mike Wright. And yes, let's make the right pick because he's not having that great of a season otherwise.
Right.
Outside of fantasy.
Well, make the right pick or the Hartman pick. Oh, you see what I did there?
Ooh.
Because I think Haynes King you can just go ahead and throw out the window.
Agreed.
Not to say he can't be better than he was in week 1, but he didn't look good.
And he put up a lot of fantasy points, like not
King?
super bad, not really bad. He looked awful. Like I watched the game, he didn't look good.
Like they played a nobody, right? Like
yeah,
and he looked rough, and maybe that's just because it was his first start and everything. But like Hartman, we projected him to be a top 5 quarterback.
Yep.
Wright was not even on anybody's radar until 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
So I think if you have Hartman, I think you have to start Hartman. I'm in the same predicament. I have Hartman and Wright. As a matter of fact, let me pull up who I have in that league. I have 3 quarterbacks. I have Wright, I have Hartman, and I have Schrader from Syracuse.
Ooh.
So Schrader's I don't love him, but I think he's a good quarterback in terms of fantasy.
Yeah, they're both good starts, man.
But I think because they're playing against each other. Hartman and Wright are playing against each other. So I think you got to go Hartman because you probably spent a lot of draft capital to get him. And, I don't think Vandy's all that great on defense. Not saying Wake's great either. But
it's going to be a high-scoring game. It's an 8-point spread at Vanderbilt in favor of Wake.
PNW
but that's
Husker
changed since I did this. So now it's like
I have some advice. Spread. I have some advice for PNW Husker if he's having trouble. Ask yourself, who would Scott Frost start? And then pick the other one. I'm just kidding.
So mean.
That was pretty bad. But
that was so mean.
No, honestly, I think you take Hartman or Wright is the answer here.
Hartman.
I would lean Hartman. Yep.
All right, last thing, just we did post the DFS prediction. So Josiah puts this together. He's really good at DFS, puts together this. This goes out to the Sporting News as well. But you'll see our top starts for each position. You'll see our value picks for each position and sleepers. So we've got the early games, the late games grouped together. And then I've got my lineup. Josiah is sending me his favorite lineup shortly, and we'll get that added here to the page. But we've posted this up in Discord. We always post everything in Discord first. And I'll be home watching the games tomorrow, so I'll be way more active on Discord throughout the day since I was driving to a game last weekend. But here's my lineup. So I've got Bryce Young at quarterback. He's the most expensive. I didn't go into this planning to put him in there. I just felt like I found so much value in Mayer Mike Mayer at 3,900 for Notre Dame, and Trey Knox for 4,100.
Oh, I love KJ Jefferson.
And then
super flex too.
Yeah, super flex KJ Jefferson 7,400, and so then I've got Nate Dell, who I feel is undervalued, 6,000, and then Bradley, who I'm just hoping the 6'5" receiver will kill it again this week for Texas Tech in a shootout. And he was at 5,000, so that kind of allowed me to get Braylon Allen at 7,000, and then Chase Brown at 6,400.
So I have a question for you. I think a lot of people have the same question. Like Bradley had a phenomenal game in week 1, right? What does this mean for Miles Price? Like, I don't think it's time to panic and drop him or anything. I just feel like I'm wondering, because I have him. I took him in Dynasty as like a supplemental first pick, right? Yep. And week 1 doesn't look great. Does the offense is it going to be one of those offenses where it's a different receiver every week is the leading guy, or is it going to be, or is Price going to kind of get back to what was expected of him?
Yeah, that is tough. I really don't know. I look forward to watching that game to kind of see firsthand how it plays out. I didn't see Texas Tech last week. I probably watched 8 or 9 games after I got back from the Florida game. Watched a lot of games the next day, and then Sunday night, Monday night. But I didn't see Texas Tech, so I'm gonna have to watch that one this week and kind of see and judge for myself. But I hope it's a shootout this week. Hopefully Bradley and Dell kill it. But yeah, that's my early lineup. That's my favorite lineup. And then as you scroll down, you'll get to see like our rankings, and then we've got the DraftKings and the FanDuel values added in there along with our standard rankings. And that's precisely why I added more not ranked players. So you'll see like some not ranked quarterbacks and running backs, etc. That's really just for, hey, maybe these are some decent plays depending on the value. So like Keaton Slovis, if that gets into a shootout, which it's projected to get into a shootout with Tennessee, him at 6,800 is a really good value for DFS. But anyways.
So I wanted to ask a couple questions mainly because I can't do the CFB DFS. So I want to talk more of like on a betting perspective. Like what is there any games that stuck out to you as the ones that maybe you should keep an eye on? Like, not to say that they're easy money, but like in our Discord, we have a group of guys that pick their lock of the week. Do you have a particular game that you want to go on record as your lock of the week? I'll tell you mine. I'll tell you mine if you'd like me to.
So
to go
Matt, on our Wednesday morning podcast, he makes me do a brisket lock of the week that he coined the term, because he knows I like to.
I've done like 2 or 3 podcasts with that guy. I love that guy. Like he has so much energy.
Yeah, he's fun.
Like he has so much energy that I feel like I should have when I host a podcast, and I just don't get to that level.
I agree. That's how I feel too.
That's like John Lobb. You ever been on a podcast with him? Oh my
goodness, yes. He's great.
It's like a next level of energy that he just brings to the table. So
John is so great.
But anyway, who's your brisket lock of the week?
So mine this week in fantasy it's not a game, it's a player. So it's JJ McCarthy. Love him as a starter. We have him at QB 20, but he's going to outperform that, I think. But we're going to have to see how he plays. He's playing against Hawaii, though. He's a running quarterback. He's going to get his for Michigan.
Ooh, I actually have another start-sit question.
Yep.
And it's actually mine. It's my team. It's in the league you're in. So if you want to lie to me, I guess you can. No, so if you had to start two of these 6 quarterbacks, I'm going to give you the 6. DeQuan Finn, which I'm going to start anyway.
Yep.
N'Kosi Perry, Jaron Hall, Will Levis, DJU, and Chandler Fields from Louisiana Lafayette. I'm starting Perry and Finn as of right now.
Yep, I've got your lineup on the screen here.
By the way, check out the tight end I snagged this week.
Oh, you got Trey Knox this week?
But yeah.
Dang.
But I actually picked him as my tight end to watch, like my tight end guy this year.
Yep.
But in this league, it's like you don't have to play a tight end, so it's hard to roster a tight end unless you really think he's going to be a monster.
Yep.
Like I picked up CJ Donaldson the week before he had his game, right? So like right before week 1, I picked him up, and like I could play him as tight end, but he doesn't get the ball thrown to him. He just runs the ball.
Yep.
So I just might as well leave him at the flex. But anyway,
I'm sticking with Perry and Finn. Easy.
Yeah, I think the matchups are heavily in their favor.
The biggest question, so Levis in the swamp.
Right.
That's going to be, I think they're going to throw a lot.
I thought Levis was in the game.
Maybe.
Levis was going to start for me instead of Perry. And then I looked at the matchup. I said, God, no, if Perry had a great game last week.
There's a scenario where Levis has his coming out party where like it validates all those mock drafts.
But is it 5 touchdowns though?
But it would need to be potentially.
Yeah, because I'm looking at Perry and Finn, like I'm looking at 3 to 4 touchdowns minimum per.
It's against the odds. Like Kentucky's projected to have 24 points this game based on the spread. So yeah. I roll with N'Kosi Perry, Daquan Finn, Jaron Hall. If he had his receivers, if he had his receivers, it still would probably be Perry and Finn.
Yeah,
for me.
Okay, I'm starting Miles Price, as you can see this week. I'm giving him another shot.
Hey,
but okay, so
right now, if you want,
your lock of the week was the player lock. My lock of the week. Let me make sure I say this right before I sound like an idiot. I took. If you don't know how to get into my Discord, it's the Burning the Red Shirt Discord. It's posted on my Twitter, BTR Pod, actually BTR_pod. But you can join and pick your lock of the week if you want. But I took Colorado State. I know they had a rough going against Michigan last week, but they're playing Middle Tennessee this week at home. -7.5 is what it was when I locked it. I think we all project Colorado State to be pretty good, right? Like offensively, we expect them to be pretty good. Middle Tennessee is a dumpster fire. They're terrible. Like I went on record last week to say that I think they're a bottom 10 team in college football. Like I watched them play against James Madison. Now James Madison might be better than I think they are, but James Madison absolutely steamrolled them, and that should never happen. Like I get they've been an FCS kind of power the last few years. I get that, but Middle Tennessee looked bad, and I think Colorado State's going to show you. Like if you're asking me if I picked a game between James Madison and Colorado State, who am I picking to win? And I would probably pick Colorado State.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So if I saw James Madison just obliterate them, Middle Tennessee, why wouldn't I think Colorado State does the same thing at home?
Yeah.
So that's my lock of the week. Is there any other? If you go into our Discord, you can see everybody's locks of the week. So I'll say this: week 0, there were 5 of us that picked a lock of the week, and we all would be bankrupt if we were actually betting the house on it, because all 5 of us we missed. We lost. So my lock of the week for week 1 was South Carolina -12.5. And they barely covered that. They had me nervous. So this week, I feel a lot more confident with Colorado State -7.5.
Yep.
I had somebody triple lock Alabama in at -19, and I'm pretty confident that that's probably going to cover too.
Yeah.
If that game's less, if Alabama doesn't cover, that means it's a good game.
Right. I'd love for it to be a good game. I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, I agree. I think we all want it to be a good game, but realistically, I don't see how they don't cover the spread.
Yep.
And maybe I'm just underselling Texas, but I need to see more to really say, oh, Texas is back or they're legitimate. Is there anything else you wanted to add? Is there any game that you think's a lock? Like I know you picked a player, but is there any game?
I'd have to look at it. No, I don't really have one ready for that, but I can pop it.
You're not sitting all high and mighty thinking Florida's going to kick the crap out of Kentucky or what?
No. No, I'm not. You know what
Honestly,
makes
I
me
think.
mad? Listening to the Kentucky beat writer come on the Florida show and talk about it being a rivalry. That's what makes me mad.
Oh, so I just
But
got
it is. It's been a great game. Great series the last 4 years.
I did just get in a DM on Twitter. I can only start one of these QBs from Sal. By the way, Sal was in.
Yes.
Yeah. So you can only start one of these QBs. Van Dyke, Daniel Richardson. Okay, he gave the matchups too. So Van Dyke versus Southern Miss, Daniel Richardson versus South Alabama, Colin Schlee at Oklahoma, or Chandler Rogers versus Nichols. I'm probably going to lean Van Dyke here. Southern Miss, I don't think so. You realize Southern Miss
safest play there.
You realize Southern Miss might roll Frank Gore out there at quarterback, right?
No,
they did last week.
I didn't.
I don't know if you were aware. We did like a whole 30 minutes on our pod about this. Like Keys got hurt, left the game. They put in, was it Lowe? Trey Lowe is the backup, I think, at Southern Miss. He sucks. So then they got to the point where they said, screw it. We're going to put Frank Gore to take snaps. And the coach called it the super back. And then they scored. They scored points with Frank Gore at quarterback. So I'm just wondering what they're going to do against a good team. Like, I don't know. I haven't looked in to see if Keys is out for extended period of time or whatnot. But and to answer this question, I think it's got to be Van Dyke. I think it's the most sure thing. Richardson versus South Alabama is not awful, but you're only starting one of these. You can't start Schlee against Oklahoma, right?
No,
not with the other options. And then Chandler Rogers versus Nichols. Rogers, that's ULM, right? Louisiana Monroe.
Yeah, it's easy for me on that one. Van Dyke's not the exciting play, but I think it's the right play.
Like, I think it's the right one. Yeah. I think he's guaranteeing you 3 touchdowns in that game.
Agreed.
Like minimum. I think you're looking, if you want to maybe take the splash play and say, you know what, maybe he goes for more because the game's closer. Maybe you take the Daniel Richardson versus South Alabama game, but I just don't know if I do that. I think I take the sure thing. Van Dyke. Yep. Where would you have Van Dyke ranked preseason? Top 20?
See, preseason, we had him top 15.
Yeah. So if you're drafting Van Dyke, you're probably he's probably your second quarterback, maybe your first, depending on how you drafted quarterbacks.
I guess it really depends.
So I just feel like you got to go Van Dyke.
Mm-hmm.
Just my opinion, but I wanted to answer that. I hope he's watching. I just answered his question, and he's probably not even watching this. So, I'm gonna tell him I answered it on this pod or on this show, so he has to come and watch it to get his answer, and he has to watch all 48 minutes of it.
Yep. All right, Zach. Well,
cool.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks for joining in.
This is something we're gonna do every week. Try to do every week. Like I said before at the beginning of the show, Saturday mornings is usually when we want to do it. We had some scheduling issues, so today we had to do it Friday night, and this is it. So keep sending in your questions. We'll try our best to answer them on the show. We went through pretty much all of them from what I saw.
We got through them all,
and we'll try to just go through them and give our best insight, whether it's legitimate or not. I might sound like an idiot, but hey, it's people eat this stuff up, man. Like they like just insight, whether they agree with it or not. Like, here we are. We give you insight. Yeah. You decide what to do with it. I give you the ingredients. You bake it how you want to.
Right. Try and find Sal on here on the Discord. I don't remember his.
Yeah. So, real quick. So you can follow me at ZRTOW_CFF or the BTR pod at BTR_pod, or you can follow Brian at CFB Dynasty, all one word. And your personal is at what? I don't remember what it is.
BC McElfresh.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, there you go. So with that, I think that's all we got. So till next week. Later, guys.
Thanks, guys.